Now let me define the remaining functions. Before that, a few changes. Here this is option number 4, this is option number 5, and when you execute the create table command, suppose if the table is already there, it results in an error. So this is actually option number 1 of the menu. So when you make use of option number 1 for the first time, no problem. Again, if you make use of option number 1, it results in an error because table is already there. So to avoid that error, you can put this in try except, or we will do one thing, we will run the program, we will create the table, and after that we will put this in try and except, so that you will have a better understanding about that. Now inserting the row. Used to insert rows into the SQL table book. Now, one, you have to establish a connection between Python and MySQL. Before that, you can read the quantities that you want to insert. After that, you can establish a connection and insert rows into the SQL table. So what are the quantities that you want to read? Book number. It is int input. So enter the book number. Now book name, it's a string, so here you can write enter the book name. Now again the next one, ISBN number, it's a 13-digit integer. Okay, so you can do like this, int input, enter the ISBN number. Now you can create a connection between Python and MySQL. You can copy paste this one. Okay, and the quantities are stored in the respective variables. Now you can execute the SQL statement. So first you have to type the SQL statement. It's a string, so insert into book values and continue backward slash. The values are entered at a runtime. So how can you enter runtime values? I told you percentage s, percentage s, percentages. For this opening bracket, you need a closing bracket and a semicolon. Now create a tuple with the runtime values, tuple, round bracket. And what are the values? Book number, comma, book name, comma, ISBN number. Now how can you execute an SQL statement? There is a function by the name execute. This is a function of which object? The cursor object. Okay, so cursor dot execute. Now the SQL statement should be passed and the values must be passed. So you know the values will be substituted in the SQL statement. So book number comes here, book name comes here, and the ISBN number, it comes here. Okay, now after executing, the result is there in the memory, and the memory area is known by the name context area. How can you retrieve all the rows? Oh, here we are inserting the row, so there won't be anything in the memory area. No answer is retrieved from the table. So what we can do is we have to commit the transaction. I told you, if you make a change in the SQL table, you have to commit the change. Only then the changes will take effect in the table. So how do you commit the change? commit. There is a function by the name commit, and this is a function of which object? Please remember, it is a function of the connection object. So here connection dot commit, and once the use is over, you can close the connection dot close. So I created insert row. One more function is created. Now in order to display the content, let me create a function show table, and here used it to display the SQL table book. Step 1, create a connection. Okay, I think I can copy paste this much. Right click, copy, and here let me paste it. So first the connection is created. Now this I need to change. It is select star from book. Now no need for runtime entities, so you can remove that. So here also there will be only one argument. Now there is no need to commit because I did not make any change in the table. I am retrieving values from the table. Now execute statement will execute this SQL statement. The result is there in the memory area. It is known by the name context area. How can you retrieve all the rows from the context area? There is a function by the name fetch all. Now this is a function of the cursor object. So cursor dot fetch all, and the result can be stored in a variable R, and certainly you need to display R. Okay, so one more function created by the name show table. Now in order to count the number of books, let me create the last one, count rows, or here let me write it as count books. Used it to count the number of books. Okay, now first you have to create a connection object. After that, select star from book. You need to execute the SQL statement. Now all the rows are there in the context area, so here you can retrieve all the rows. Actually we don't need to display this, we need to display the number of rows, isn't it? So now you can use that. It is, there is a function by the name row count, and this is a function of the cursor object, cursor dot, and this answer should be displayed in the computer's monitor. So here you can display this print you can write total number of books in the library, or total number of books equals, I think that's enough, books equals comma row count. So this is the new one, the cursor object. See, when you retrieve all the rows from the context area and storing variable R, this property gets the total number of rows. Okay, how many rows were there in the context area? So this property gets that value, and here you are displaying that value. And once the use is over, you can close the connection dot close. So this is my last function, and now you are in a position to write the main function. The main function will be explained in the next video tutor.